You're listening to Straight Shooters, a straightforward golf podcast that'll straighten out your game. And here are your hosts, Keith Bennett and Henry Stetina.
Welcome back to the Straight Shooters podcast. Keith and I are going to be visited here with Collin Henderson, sports psychologist out of Seattle, Washington. Collin is a mindset guru and has brought to us an awesome conversation as to how we can take our minds to the next level and reach that peak performance that we've always been looking for. Keith, what do you think about this conversation?
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool 45 minutes we got to spend with Collin. He brought to light some really actionable items, which I thought was cool. You know, not just these concepts of positive thinking or, meditation or some of these things that we might have heard before, but he brought some really cool actionable acronyms. One of the ones I really liked was the ASA acronym, the awareness, systems, and application. I really like that concept of having a system, for growth, having a system to scale your mind and to work on these things. And I think what the listeners are going to take away from the conversation with Collin is that we got to work our minds, mental bicep curls, just the way we do our physical routines. He talked about, working on your craft and also, but working on your mind are two separate things. And you and I talk about this at length all the time of, the golf swing only has so many things we can talk about, backswing, forward swing, impact, club face, all that sort of stuff. But on the golf course, we spend so much time in between shots. What are we doing in between those shots that's helping us perform our best? And he had a lot of really cool things to help people with that, which I think is a big mystery to a lot of people. What about you?
Yeah, you brought up that ASA acronym. He had a lot of them, man. He totally had a system in place. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And it was awesome for me to see where I was in those continuums.
Right.
I have for several years, but over the past year or so, I've really taken an intentional look at my life and how I can improve mentally, physically, emotionally, etc. And I could see where I was on these continuums that he discussed, and I saw where the next steps would be. Mm-hmm. We had a nice chat with him, but it was really cool to be able to see where I could take what he said and put them into practice and get benefits now.
Right.
Which was really cool. A lot of times we hear about, thinking better and thinking differently, and it sounds so simple, but what are the steps that we need to do to move forward? What is that going to be like? And I think he gave us a really good blueprint for doing so.
Yeah, I was really happy you asked that question about, what are the baby steps? What does it look like? Sometimes we read books or we hear people talk and I'm like, man, that guy's got it dialed mentally. Like, it's kind of like like you said, you're looking at somebody who's at, in the middle of their career or you're looking at the result basically and comparing yourself to the result. And oftentimes that can feel overwhelming, that like, oh man, it's going to take a lot of work to get there. But I think laying out some baby steps or some actionable items that we can do today or the listeners can do today to start their own journey towards more, mental wellness and his concept of having a self-talk plan that I'm going to start to implement into, when I coach golfers, because these are important things. Science backs it up. Everything he's talking about, how important training the mind is. But a lot of times we don't even know where to begin. So we don't get started.
Yeah, for sure, man. Reaching anyone's goals is all about taking action. And I think that he's got such great content. We might as well just jump right into it and get going.
Perfect, man. Let's kick it. Here's Collin Henderson.
Being out here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. Giving them some tools to get their swing improved, to get their confidence improved, but tools for awareness, tools to be present, right? Tools to, man, you weren't defined by this swing, bro. You're not defined by what your score is.
So true. Cool. Well, let's get rolling, shall we?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think we'll just jam.
And I actually forgot to put my watch on, but I have another event at 7:30 a.m. So you guys can keep me on track with that time.
Cool. Yeah.
So
we'll go to like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and if we go like 1 or 2 minutes over 7, it's no problem.
Okay.
No worries, man. We'll take care of you.
Cool. I love it.
All right, we'll just jam. We got a few questions, but I think we'll
Okay.
just talk. I think we'll get some good stuff out of it.
Let's do it.
All right, should we do it? You want to do an intro, Henry, or should I?
Go ahead.
All right. Collin, thanks for joining us this morning. Really looking forward to talking to you. You're a mindset guy. We're looking for you to develop some golfers and some people into some bulletproof mindsets and get us thinking the right way heading into 2021. So we're stoked to talk to you. For those that don't know you, give us a little 2-minute kind of little background on yourself. How'd you get into the mindset game, talking about, mental health and just, making people mental warriors out there?
I said, well, Henry, Keith, super excited to be here. Excited to talk the mental game, golf, life. It's all comes together. Well, first off, I'm married 10 years. I'm a father of 5 kids. So we talk about needing mental support, mental bulletproof toughness, managing 5 kids, 8 and under, bro. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
No, but growing up was an athlete, was very skilled in sports. Played all the sports as a kid at Washington State University. Also was there being as a student athlete. But I recognize, whether it's in baseball or basketball or football, whatever sport I played, I recognize, man, I'm just kind of negative on myself. And I got my self-worth tied to the outcome. We kind of talked pre-show, like in golf, a lot of golfers get their self-worth tied to this score. And my self-worth was tied to this outcome. And that kind of carried over into business and sales, prior to being an author, speaker, a mindset consultant, selling to doctors and hospitals and surgeons. Sport and sales have a lot in common. There's an outcome attached. There's awards, there's rankings. And I was like 7 years ago, just got so exhausted of chasing this worth. And luckily I had a mindset coach that I worked with that literally changed my life. And he gave me a list of like 30 books to read. He taught me things like thoughts become things, energy flows where focus goes. Everything happens twice, first in our mind, then in real life. And I'm like, what language are you talking about? I needed this my entire life. This is crazy. And I sat back and reflected, this stuff is not taught in like schools. In business onboarding, tools to be self-aware, tools to manage self-doubt, tools to handle failure. We're not taught this stuff. And if you look at like the best performers in the world, those are all the things that they do, whether it's innately born with them or it's trained. So as a sales leader, I was a national sales trainer at the company I was at. I started to teach this stuff. I started to use it on myself, number one, but I started to teach this stuff and I saw transformation myself. I was very successful, but I was happier. And anytime I'd go in and train someone on how to sell better, we would spend 90% of the time on the mental game. And I started writing books about this stuff. I started speaking about it. I started blogging back when people used to read blogs about this stuff. And I just saw I was so much happier and, teaching this stuff. So I was like, I'm going to stop selling catheters to surgeons. I'm going to start teaching how to have an elite mindset. So I get to work with companies across the country, athletes, business people, kids, in schools and teachers. So that's what I'm doing.
Man, that is awesome. There's a lot to unpack there. I'm curious, who was that guy that got you into the game?
Yeah, his name is Frankie Pretzel.
Frankie Pretzel. Nice.
Yeah, he was an athlete in school, but he just had a lot of success. And I remember, part of onboarding, this was like 7 years ago, part of onboarding at our company, you'd go ride with him for a week. So I was out in the field where he was working with his urologists, his customers, and he was listening to audio programs about how to wire like self-talk. He was listening to audio programs on like how to stay present in the moment. And then again, he gave me this list of books that I now have coined the Jedi Scrolls. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be a Jedi and use the Force, like there's like scrolls and text on like how to use the Force. Well, there's awesome. there's laws of success, Keith and Henry. There's laws of buoyancy, laws of lift, laws of gravity. There's fundamental laws of success that have been around for centuries that have not changed, about how you see yourself, about how you would never let someone with dirty feet walk in your house. Why would you let like self-talk that is not productive in your mind? But people just aren't aware of some of these basic truths, because again, like I said, schools teach us what to think. They don't teach us how to think. Most coaches teach us how to swing, but sometimes they don't teach us, do you have some research and some background how to understand the power of a mindset, of how you see yourself, and how to stay present. But maybe, I know, Keith, you talk about some of that stuff. Henry, I'm not sure about you. But I think so. There are three things we can train as human beings. You can train your body, you can train your craft or your skills, and you can train your mind. And most athletes are in the weight room getting stronger, faster. That would check off training your body. Most athletes will train their skill. I think of going to the range and just hitting away. But
Right.
are you getting like game shots, match shots? Are you trying to simulate nerves, what you're going to feel like with people watching you?
Mhm.
But the third thing, in business, you can train your craft. So it's like your product, your service, whatever skill set you have for your job, that would be under that box, craft. But the majority of people do not formally train their mindset.
Hmm.
And the analogy I give is like, think of a junk drawer in your guys' kitchen. Listeners, can you think of a junk drawer in your kitchen? Now, have you ever gone to that junk drawer looking for scissors, tape, a pen, and you get frustrated? Oh, it's not there. I need to organize this, but you never organize it. So part of mental training is, listeners, let's kind of do an exercise. Let's pretend we're taking our brain out of our head. That's the junk drawer. Dump it out, and let's start fresh. Put it back in, and then let's just train some mental skills of self-awareness, of self-talk, of mindfulness, of self-image, of training, poise and how you deal with like an elevated heart rate. And what we say, process over outcome, your routines, like pre-shot, what you eat, how much sleep you get, what you listen to. Let's get those things hardwired in there. So when you perform, you don't think. So for me, mental training is you front load your thinking. So a lack of confidence is a lack of clarity. So if we can have some coaching on some of those topics I just listed, you can just detach yourself from the outcome. You can detach yourself from overly thinking about the function of the swing and just be fully in the moment, enjoying the moment. And one of my favorite skills to teach, fellas, is just on gratitude. Just on optimism. Like, why would you spend, money for a coach, hundreds of dollars on clubs, going to the range and then playing your rounds and be miserable? Like, is golf a get to or a have to? Golf is a get to.
I love that. Yeah.
So as you can see, I can just keep rambling. I'm just going to press the pause button.
Hey, Collin. So it's great to meet you. Great to hear a little bit about your background. I'm loving what you're talking about regarding the self-worth and the outcome. Keith and I have talked into great depth with our personal beings on how we've attached our self-worth to our golf scores. Golf is a game where we have a score, and when we play well, everybody in the clubhouse is patting us on the back. And when we don't get that reward. And so we start to associate our self-worth to our golf scores at a very young age. And I hear that from so many people. And you're talking about some ways of detaching from the self-worth, finding true internal happiness. Easier said than done, but how does a person go about building those skills, building those habits? What are those baby steps?
I think part of it, this is from Carol Dweck out of Stanford. She had some groundbreaking research, and she coined the phrase growth mindset. So there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. When you get a handicap, sometimes that pigeonholes someone into this fixed, oh, I'm a 12, or I'm a 15, or I'm a 9, or I'm a 20, whatever it is. But if we can shift our perspective on what we measure, instead of measuring a score, measure, was I present? Was I, truly myself in that moment? Did I trust my training? But the number one thing we should be measuring is growth. Because you can have a bad score and grow. You can have a good score and maybe go backwards. I'm not sure. But if we can get our worth and just self-assess your experience on your round and each swing is, was I present in that swing? Did I trust my routine in that swing? And hopefully I learned something from today. And then maybe the fourth one is hopefully I had some fun out there, So I think growth to me, and I look at, I would challenge every listeners out there. We want you to do is come up with some core values for you and have these core truths that are going to guide your life. And let's just, again, detach yourself from the outcome. So my core values, I talk about being a G. That's perfect because the golf starts with G. Is gratitude, giving, and growing every single day. So was I grateful today in the moment? Was I giving, serving other people? Was I growing? and that is on your card that you measure your scores. I know, Keith, you have an exercise on my podcast you shared about mentally. Did you check how was your score mentally? You know, were you present? You know, think of like one or two things. Did you do those things, you know, in that round and in each swing, each hole? And I think also what happens is everybody has a level of comfort on how they see themselves. This, you know, if they're performing below what they see themselves, they get stressed. But if they perform better than how they see themselves, they also get stressed out. You ever seen that before? Like the front nine, they're ahead of what they normally are, and they start to panic and they start to put this pressure. I have to do this. Well, that's not healthy either. So, you know, I think gratitude is a phenomenal skill, and it sounds kind of like soft and woo-woo, but there's too much science on the you know. I read some research recently that the body produces 5 million cells every single day, and your cells are listening to you. So you can think yourself into being sick. You can think yourself into being happy. And we say around 70,000 thoughts per day. So I think part of listeners, have you audited your the thoughts that you say to yourself? So what I say, I call it MAP. So M is monitor, A is to audit, and P is to program. Reprogram what you're saying to yourself. So I think maybe listeners, when you're playing, how loud is your mind? When you go to work, how loud is your mind? When you're parenting your kids, how loud is your mind? So part of mental training is, you know, do you carve out 1 to 3, 4, 5 minutes a day just to be still and just breath work for me? When I swing, when I started learning this stuff, the number one tool that changed my game was breathing. Was in my swing, when I'm doing my like backswing approach, I time up my breath exactly how I want to swing. So I'm just focused on, you know, taking inhale, then the exhale. That has really helped me out. So are you, everybody, listeners, are you taking a moment to slow down your breathing every day and just notice, do a quick scan of your body and unlock tension, tightness? How many times when you're up on that tee box and you have your buddies that are watching you swing and all you're thinking about is, how am I going to look on the swing? No, focus on your routine and your breath. And then I'm going to give you guys 3 things I want everyone to do for just a few minutes today. I call this the HA method. I have, I am, I will. This is mental training. So just like you would do some lifts on, you know, getting stronger with your glutes and your back and your core, just like with your golf swing, you're going to get reps. Well, these mental reps are making you mentally stronger. So I have is gratitude. When you wake up each day, do you focus on what you have or what you don't have? Do you focus on who you are or who you aren't? Well, the science shows that cortisol is reduced when you have this practice of gratitude. Depression, anxiety is reduced when you have like a gratitude practice. You can, you know, when you're negative and you're in this kind of sour mode, like it kills your immune system. So just having a gratitude routine connects you to being present with what you have. Now, the second thing we'd love for you guys to do, listeners, is have some I am statements. We become what we think about. So if you think you are or you aren't, you're right. And, you know, I like to say there are 2 wolves in our mind. There's this negative wolf, and there's this wolf that's like this positive wolf. You know, think of the negative wolf. You know, all I do is slice it. I'm not a good golfer. I'm like a 20 handicap. I'm probably going to shank. I can never be clutch in these matches with my friends. You know, how come I suck so bad? This other person, Johnny's a better golfer than me. You know, look at his shoes. His outfit looks way cooler than mine. I don't know how to dress very cool. You know, there's all this like negativity that's just robbing you from being your best. Or there's this optimistic, positive wolf that's joy and love. It's like, hey, I'm going to use what I have. You know, I'm a 12, but I love to play. I don't care about the score. I'm going to compete, have fun, and see how good I can be. And the last shot doesn't matter. You know, it's how I respond on that next swing. So which wolf wins? I like to ask people I'm talking about this. What do you guys think? Maybe you heard this before. Which wolf wins this fight?
The one you feed.
That's right, baby. The one that you feed, Henry. So I would, just like how you know, and you're going to your golf, like you would measure, you know, what's my swing? Look at the course. How am I going to play the course? But it's like, we want you guys to develop an advertising campaign for yourself in your mind, because we can only focus on one thought at a time. So if you let your mind wants to do what it do, it's going to go negative. So having a preemptive self-talk plan is going to block out negative thoughts that come in. So practice this every day. So write down 3 to 5 statements that you memorize. These are what I call anchor statements. They anchor your performance, and they also block out thoughts that are negative. So just be on that relentless pursuit to monitor, to audit, and to reprogram, to practice that self-talk. And then the last one, again, we're talking about the HOT method. I will is set an intention. How are you going to show up today? How do you want to show up? If you knew you couldn't fail, how are you going to show up? And there's research from Florida State, Dr. Anders Ericsson, who just passed away recently. He calls it deliberate practice. And performers who have intent with their practice in music, in using your hands, like in sport, these performers grow their skills much faster and they perform better. So golfers, do you show up to the course and just wing it? You just randomly swing and I don't have any intent with my swing. I don't have intent for this workout. I don't have intent at the range. I don't have any intent with this round. Well, pinpoint how you want to show up and then visualize yourself doing those things. And then visualize with imagery. Now I love golf. Golf's a great sport because I can sit here and if I have enough time, I can play 4 hours of a round in my mind and your body cannot tell the difference. You create pathways, in your brain. You create these grooves, these mental grooves, and your body can't tell the difference. So everything happens twice, first in our mind, then in real life. So you're actually getting double the reps when you see the swings you want in your mind.
And I just need you to stand on the range with me and just talk to my students.
Talk to me, man.
Yeah.
But it's like, why would you this is from Gandhi, why would you let someone with dirty feet walk in your house? Mm-hmm. Why would you allow that negativity? Because watch this, guys, your brain thinks in pictures, not words. And I think, Keith, you kind of talk about this too. So when you say things like don't and can't, you're really programming your mind, your subconscious mind. So 97% of our behaviors are controlled by our subconscious mind. So when you say things like don't slice it, don't hit it in the water, don't chunk it, guess what? You're commanding your subconscious to do that. So our brain is a super this hardwired this brain, but like your self-talk is the software and the program that runs it. So these images and what you focus on, so if you're thinking about bad stuff, that's just not gonna be good for you. So I think, listeners, the big takeaway of this is just to audit how you speak to yourself, because what you say to yourself has 10 times the power.
So when you're working with elite performers, or if you've experienced working with some of the highest performers, I find that, when you talk to people about training the mindset, right? It feels like if I went to the gym or went and worked on my swing, that I would be doing maybe something more productive, or I felt like I got something more out of it. Some people maybe feel like they didn't quite, sitting around and meditating wouldn't be like the best use of their time. How do you convince these people that this is what elite and highest performers are doing? They are, putting a wall up around their mind for negative thoughts not to come in.
Yeah, there's kind of 4 steps. So step 1 is it's not for me. You haven't heard this before. I'm not going to try this. Not for me. Well, yeah. Step 2 is you give them examples of other performers who have mental coaches, mindset coaches. Russell Wilson works with his mindset coach every Thursday in the season, in the off season. There's a guy by the name of George Mumford who was with Coach Jackson with the Bulls and Lakers. He trained Kobe and Jordan, and Jordan and Kobe have given George Mumford all the credit in the world for getting their mindset elite. So not for me. Give some examples. And then number 3 is I'm just going to give you a simple drill you can try. Just try. And if they trust the process and do some of the exercises, step 4 is, damn, why haven't I been doing this longer?
Right.
So I have a system. There's 5 skills I teach. The first one is self-awareness. Awareness precedes behavior change. So part of self-awareness for me is just, have you reflected your best rounds? Tell me what your routines were like. Tell me what your thoughts were like. Tell me what it felt. So just to self-reflect and analyze, I guarantee, because the brain is biased to be negative, we only replay our worst swings and our worst matches, our worst outings.
Right.
So listeners, I'm your mental coach. Take out your notebook, baby. Let's go. We're going to the mind gym.
It's the classroom.
Yeah, we're in the class, baby, a mindset masterclass. So step 1 is to be consciously competent. Sometimes performers have what is called unconsciously confident. They don't know why they are successful. So if we can kind of take a look at what are some of the best practice rounds on the range, on the course, what were my routines, what were my thoughts, what were my habits, and just have that base of awareness. Another part about, self-awareness is, what are some common negative thoughts? What are some common labels that are holding you back? Have you taken a step back and just done, again, an audit, a self-talk audit, a self-awareness audit of some harmful, hurtful things that you've been holding on to? And therapy is great, but not most males won't see a therapist. That's just totally fine. I'm encouraging you to, but just I think journaling and writing some of these things down is just like, let it live on the page and not in your head. So just recognize. So let me ask you, and Keith, you might know this, Henry, I don't know about you, but what % of human thoughts are actually negative? Do you guys know?
Oh man, I did my research on you. I gotta admit, I think I know the answer. We talking 4 out of 5, 80%?
Yes, 80% of human thoughts are negative.
That blew me away, man. I can't believe it.
And over 90% of human thoughts are reoccurring.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you have a great round if the only picture in your mind is of past failures and worrying about not failing?
True,
it's
man.
really hard. So it's kind of like your brain needs to get on that treadmill and burn some of that fat. Let's go. Let's just remove some of that, some of those like old, beliefs about yourself, and just give yourself empathy and grace. Having self-compassion, that's part of self-awareness is, man, you're so nice to your buddies when they play. Maybe you kind of joke a little bit, but if they had a bad shot, you kind of like, you say, hey, bud, you get the next one. So like when people break clubs and throw clubs and are so negative, so there's also science that shows when you verbalize negativity, it's up to 7 times more powerful than if you're just like positive.
Right.
So I'm not telling everyone you have to be positive, but being neutral to being productive. Let's just not be negative.
Right.
So part of self-awareness is recognizing when your internal judge and your internal critic pops up and labeling some of those thoughts. That's not the real me. Now, the second mental skill I want to teach you guys is, we talked about earlier, just the power of self-talk. Have a self-talk plan. So write up some times when you've had success. Write down, some moments when you did well. But also I want you to do this. Write down the habits you've been doing to prepare yourself for that match, and to be credible with that talk, that in the verbalizing of that stuff in your mind. Because you can just talk about affirmations, which is powerful, but if you're not doing the work, it really doesn't matter. So when you're about to step on that tee box, say, I've been training with the best golf coach, Keith, the Western Washington, PGA coach of the century. He's giving me all these tips. I've been going to the range. I've been playing rounds. I've been taking game-like swings at the range.
Mm-hmm.
So today I'm just going to trust. And I'm going to do a list of other things where I've overcame some challenging holes, but then, like I said before, with your affirmations, write down 3 anchor statements that you're going to focus on in that match. Like 3 things that you can just quiet your mind, that I'm just going to think about these things. And then when it comes time to the approach, is obviously you train your mind not to think. And then part of self-talk mindfulness is, have you taken the time, like a minute, 2 minutes? I'm not asking for 20 minutes, just to be still. Because it's like, if you have a pet, it's like a dog. Like who's walking who, the dog or the owner? You have to train the dog to be on command, to be still, to follow the rules, right? Well, your brain, you have this brain that is so scattered. If you can train your mind to be still, it's like, wait, you know that you're going to play a match, or you're going to play with your buddies, or you're going to do it in a few days. And you want to be confident and still and composed. Well, why would you not train that? Well, I don't have time. Well, you have time watching Netflix and YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't got 3 minutes just to sit still and notice where your thoughts are and not judge them, and recognize a thought, and then, okay, I'm going to come back to my breath. That's like doing bicep curls for your brain. So the third one is the power of self-image. That's where, hey, let's write down what are your strengths. Your game is not like his game or her game. So knowing what you do well, and that's also important, but also having a set of like core values. Like what's important to you when you show up on the course? I want to have great energy. If I make a bad shot, I'm not gonna just pout and get all negative. I'm gonna stay positive. I'm gonna stay upright with my posture. I'm gonna compete, have fun. I'm gonna compete to be my best, not the best. So just pick some values. I already mentioned mine: gratitude, giving, growing every day. Now the fourth one is courage, or what I call state management. Especially in golf, this is critical. If your heart rate is beating out of your chest, if your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy,
I knew you were gonna go there.
it's going to be hard to put together a good swing. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
Absolutely. We've been there.
So we call this knowing your lights. You know, driving a car, if it is a red, yellow, or green. So if it's green, it means you're in flow, you're in go. It means go time. You're in rhythm, you feel confident, you have a clear picture of what you want, your body feels in control, you have poise. If you're yellow, you know, you may hit a bad shot and you start to notice your nerves start to get the best of you. You start, you know, your heart rate elevate, you kind of feel more tense and tight. And then red is a straight stop, hot mess. Like you've lost it. You guys have probably coached some people, you've seen them totally lose it on the course. So it's having a reset routine to get back to green. So
Like
do you have a, so I call it reset, refocus, and then rise. Because wouldn't you agree, you're so impressed with like the best golfers. It's not that they always play great, but they don't let one bad shot ruin their whole that hole and that round. They're able to respond fast. They're able to recover quickly. And not that they're trying to recover, they can just get out of it. They don't let one bad shot just turn into like all these bad shots. So there's three things we're gonna do, okay? I want listeners, you to have a reset word or a reset phrase. Just to remind yourself, hey, this is just golf, man. This is just golf. Hey, breathe, or be right here, or, you know, whatever it is for you. My phrasing I say is, I'm not defined by this. That's my 5-word, like reset phrasing I say to myself. And then number 2 is have a physical reset routine. Take off your glove. Put your club, rearrange your clubs, I have one golfer I work with. I have him untie his shoe and retie it to get locked back in. So have a physical routine that may take 5 seconds. And then the third one is have a visual cue that you can look at to remind yourself, dude, this is not that big of a deal, man. Dude, I mean, is this real pressure or is this fake pressure?
Right.
This is not real pressure. The people who design golf and I think, let's design a game to create anxiety in the lives of people. You know,
I got some clients that would beg to differ, man.
It's like, why would we be out here like having anxiety? Like, this is fake pressure. This isn't real pressure.
Right.
The brain is hardwired to look at threat, danger, but we're not being chased by lions and tigers. So it's like ego. It's how do I look? What do people think? So just like you would practice like a good swing, practice how you're going to recover from a bad hole. Why would you not have that in your, remember, we're talking about not a junk drawer, a mental toolkit.
Right.
And then the fifth one is to be process focused. So process over outcome. So routines. Do you have a routine at the range, or routine, you know, what gear you wear? I tell all my athletes, you're going to decide for this season what gear you're going to wear. We're not going to change it. If it's hot, cold, or kind of the temperature middle, we're going to decide how we're going to show up. That's one. And then your routines. So your pre-shot, your post-shot, you know, what you're going to cue on mentally when you approach. Like, just, we're going to work and map it out, all these things on paper, and then we're going to practice them. And then we're going to practice them and practice like we practice in games. So if I ask you guys, what does the word clutch mean? What would you guys say?
Being able to perform when you want to most.
Yeah. I mean,
Keith,
I think
you got one?
Yeah. I mean, I have images come to my mind. I don't get words. I just see, like, you know, I see Jordan, you know, I see Brady, I see, you know, Russ, I see Curry, you know, I see moments happening, but I just see people who are able to get it done no matter what's going on around them.
Henry, you almost hit the words exactly, but Keith, you're exactly right. You just gave examples of like these performers who do well, you know, when the game's online. But the definition of clutch, if you're taking notes at home, is clutch is doing what you normally can do when it matters most. Doing what you normally can do when it matters most. So that 5-foot birdie putt on Augusta, Georgia on Sunday is the same 5-foot birdie putt at your home course, but you make the environment in your mind bigger than it is. It's the same stroke, the same routine, the same. So if we can just, trick our mind or convince our mind or hardwire our mind just to trust, and this is no different than on the range. It's just you're creating this false reality around yourself, like, oh, I have to. Or no, just be yourself. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to how we train. We fall to how we see ourselves. So, and all in the end of this, if you're listening to the listeners, just have fun. Let's go, man. Why does it need to be complicated? Are you trying to be the best or are you trying to be your best? That's why I love golf. Stop playing against other people and just ask yourself, was I present here? Was I authentically myself? Did I, take what I practice on the range and in the practice round? And if I didn't, so what? Guess what? There's going to be another round, another match, and another swing,
True.
Hey, Collin, I love what you're saying, man. This is, this is my kind of language. And while it seems simple, I know it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big believer of progress, not perfection. And I'm wondering, what does this journey look like, right? Because this mindset, this intentional focus, this awareness, this self-image, this change that you're suggesting that people do is a habit change. I'm curious if you could set some expectations for us as to how long that process might take, what that journey might look like. What are the roadblocks and stumblings that people might experience along the way as they get started and develop a new way of thinking?
Well, and I think, so to me, it comes down to 3 steps. I call it ASA: awareness, systems, and then application. ASA: awareness, systems, and then the application. So if you don't have a system, how can you like scale? How can you do this over and over again? So I have a lot of systems, but before I give you the system, I'm just going to tell you, it's the start that stops most people. Just get started. Just start something. Read a book, listen to podcasts, buy my books, get a mental coach, or work with your golf coach and spend the last 10 minutes not dissecting your swing, but talking about your mind and where your thoughts are and your habits and routines. Like, carve out time intentionally on when you're going to get these reps. And that's the thing about, mental training is some people don't know what it is. And I'm sure in our life, they've heard, we need to be more tough mentally. Well, thank you. How do I do that, genius?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, or like in the history of telling your players to calm down, no one has ever calmed down. Like, are we teaching them how to calm down? But just starting a routine. And it's this concept: a little, a lot, not a lot, a little. A little, a lot.
Yeah, I like that.
A lot.
Not a lot, a little. So I'm not asking you to spend 2 hours to meditate. I'm asking for 3 minutes, bro.
Atomic habits, baby.
Yes, James Clear, man. It's one of the best books out there. So I'm gonna give you guys a daily process to do morning and night.
Hit us with it.
So I want you guys to write down. It's an acronym. I love acronyms, by the way. It's so I hit you guys with what I call the HA method. So that could be incorporated. This is kind of a different version of it. So I want you guys to write down the word goals, V. Goals, GOALS, and then V. So GOA we're going to do in the morning, and LSV we're going to do at night. So we're getting mental reps, just like you work on your chip, putt, your driver, your iron game. Well, you're working your craft. You're not working your mind there. Maybe you're doing core and you're lifting weights and you're stretching, and that's body. But we just talked about early in the call, we have to train our body, our craft, and our mind. Well, I'm going to give you some systems backed by science and taking complex things and making them simple. So the G is gratitude. Write down 3 things of gratitude each morning. And don't just write them to check the box, feel them, process them. Because we know that 4 out of 5 thoughts are negative. We have to recondition our mind to focus on who we are and what we have, not what we don't have. If you have an abundant mindset, you're going to play better. I'm just telling you are. If you have this lack mindset, you're gonna do worse. I'm just telling you. I didn't make up these rules. I'm a teacher of the laws. I didn't make these up. The O in this goals V system is what's your objective for that day.
Yep.
What's your one thing? I mean, a lot of people write down like 20 things on their list, and they do all the things that are easy first. So they miss like the top 1, 2, or 3 things that have to get done. So if you like making lists, well, make your list, then prioritize them 1 through 5. Don't go any more than 5 because you won't get it done. But what's your number one thing? This is from Brian Tracy, calls it eat the frog first. This is bigger than golf. This is life stuff right here. But you can use the same system in golf. So what's your objective for this round? Let's have deliberate practice. Let's not be just randomly winging our round. Let's have intent. And the A is affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you this: the number one separate as I'm working with like pro athletes and like amateur athletes or like top executives versus like people who are struggling, it comes down to one thing. What do you guys think it is?
Self-talk, affirmation.
Come on, baby. Champions have championship self-talk.
Yeah.
People who struggle, they're beating themselves up. So I want you to follow this sequence. Bad thoughts are bad. Good thoughts are good, but no thought is best. We can't get to this no thought by being negative. We can't jump a step. A gateway to flow, a gateway to zone, a gateway to quiet mind is productive thinking. Neutral, productive thinking. That's going to help calm us down. It's a gateway to get into this quiet mind. We can't get to quiet mind if we're beating ourselves up. It's just impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about being present.
Correct. But I'm going to get to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to that.
Gotcha.
Well, all I'm saying is it's hard to be fully in the moment if you're thinking about not failing. It's hard to be in the moment if you're replaying all your past mistakes. It's hard to be in the moment if you're saying, don't shank it.
Right.
Powerful.
We got to get past negative.
We just have to get past negative. If we can get neutral to productive, I'm not saying you have to think you're the best player. We're just not going to go negative.
Right.
But by having a advertising campaign to yourself, by having a self-talk plan where you're going to, influence yourself, because most people, they do a checklist of why they're not worthy and why they're going to fail. So if we can talk ourselves into it instead of talk ourselves out of it with some positive self-talk or productive self-talk, wherever, if maybe you don't like positive, that's fine. Neutral to productive. So just write down some affirming things like, dude, I've been training for the last 3 months. I've gotten a lot better. I'm going to have some fun today. I like what I see in the mirror. I'm humble. I'm present. I'm a good friend. I'm going to serve. To this round, I'm going to catch all my people that I'm playing with doing it right. I'm going to say, hey, that was a great swing. So it's like, just have a game plan. How you're going to speak to yourself. Like, you would never build a house without having a freaking blueprint on how you're going to build that house. Let's have a blueprint how we're going to show up. Now, once you go do it, then just release yourself from the outcome. So once you've done that work, this is just like it's priming. It's having some intent with what you're gonna see and focus on, and then just release yourself from the outcome. Have a phrase to reset yourself. Have a routine to reset yourself. And then at the end after your match or your round, at the end of the day, whether you work, don't golf, whatever. Now let's go into LSV. L is, what did I learn? What did I learn? We spend so much time studying other people, but we don't study ourselves. Why would you waste a mistake? Or why would you waste a great round and not document what you did? Like what you noticed, how you handled, the fairway or the rough, or what different club combination you used, or whatever it is. Like, why would you not take a moment to self-reflect and create elite self-awareness and write this stuff down? Honestly, why would we not do? This is why athletes, they watch the game tape. Do you watch the game tape in your mind? And let's forget the failure. Let's remember the lesson. And then S is, how did you serve? How did you help? So brain science tells us when we're helping and serving people, your brain produces dopamine and serotonin. These are happy chemicals. Oftentimes when we're struggling, it's all about us. If you can detach yourself from the moment, and part of being in flow state is, there's this exit of self. The activity is the reward, not the outcome. But part of exit of self is, bro, it's not about you. Why is this all about you? There's other people playing. You think everyone's watching you? No, they're worrying about how they look.
Yep.
They're on the tee box. So if you can remove this like pressure on performing and shift it to like, how can I be a great partner, a great teammate today? How can I help people in my house, my like sig other or my kids or my spouse or my friends be a great teammate? And just document how do I help or who am I going to help tomorrow? Just have like a service check-in. And then V is you write your goals as if they're already done and then you visualize them. So it's amazing how powerful the mind is. We become what we focus on. Thoughts become things. Energy flows where focus goes. What you resist persists. So if you're resisting, you're going to attract it. So if your brain is a supercomputer, why not program with things that we want to manifest, to attract, and to find in our life? So picture what you want. Most people cannot tell me. I ask the first question, yo, bro, tell me what you want the most. They don't know. Like, why don't you know? Well, I don't know. Well, let's have some intent with our life, man. Like waking up each day is like going to a diner and looking at the menu. Like you want an omelet? You tell the waitress you want an omelet. You don't guess for a second or question you'll get the omelet. You know that omelet's coming. Life's the same way. Decide what you want. Just decide.
That omelet's coming. I like that.
You know it's coming. Why would you not declare and decide? Speak it into existence and expect, have an abundant mindset, gratitude, affirmations, serving, learning every day. Growth is in happiness, not an outcome. It's growth, improving, and then visualize it and believe it. Wait, you don't got 5 minutes to do this? Wait. So think about someone that you love dearly. Like, wouldn't you want them to have access to these tools? Well, then why don't you do them?
True. Starts with you.
I know. So there's a system, Henry.
That's awesome, man. I love that. Goals V. You've brought to my awareness a few things, actually. I have a whole page and a half of notes that I've taken. And, I love the acronyms. I love I can see exactly on your ASA acronym where I am on that continuum and where I need to move forward. And I'm looking forward to implementing all this stuff into the students that I coach. Keith and I have similar conversations. It's amazing to talk to you, an expert in the field. And I can only imagine where that's going to take us both personally and professionally.
Yeah, every day on the lesson tee, I talk to people about, okay, when your swing gets off, what's your checklist on the course for bringing it back? But I never thought about, okay, what's your self-talk plan for when you get negative? Because that's inevitably going to happen. So I'm absolutely going to implement the self-talk plan and the reset routine. I think that's some genius level stuff. So Collin, man, it has been an absolute pleasure. We've taken up a good chunk of your time, but holy cow, man, I'm just fired up to go and implement some of this stuff and talk to Henry more about it. But dude, you're on to some good stuff, and I'm gonna be looking into those Jedi scrolls. That resonates with me. I'm a big Star Wars guy, so I'll be.
Well, I'm so pumped. Over Christmas break, my son Bear's 8 years old. I exposed him to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And it's been the greatest bonding experience for me as a dad who grew up watching, being a Jedi. I have dreams of being a Jedi, bro. Like I can just grab that like thing, just that whatever with my mindset powers. But yeah, guys. So seriously, just think about this. Just go to the mind gym, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Some of the things, the tools that we learn. Don't just exercise. You got to exercise. Don't just work the physical. You have to work the mental. So hopefully this gave you guys some systems that you can use.
Intention.
Yeah, absolutely. Systems. I like that. Where can people find more about you? Where can they go and get some more of Collin Henderson, man?
Yeah, if you go to my Instagram, my name, Collin Henderson, 2 L's. I feel like the IG is a good spot. You can get links to my website. You can get the first 12 of the scrolls are on my website right now. So I would say that.
Nice. I'm going to go check out them scrolls.
Yeah, man.
Perfect. Hey, and I like to end every single coaching call I do, or like a video or a live event with this concept. I want you guys to take this in, listeners. Just follow this sequence here. The body has limits, but the mind is limitless. You are limitless. So let's break free from some of these internal change, from reliving some of your past mistakes, and then pre-living failures that you don't want to have happen. Let's just clean that up. And just know that, you are limitless. There's nothing you can't accomplish if you really put your mind to it. So we can't just train the body, can't just train the other craft and skills. You got to train your mind. So I'll just end with that one.
Perfect, man. Great
cool,
send
man.
off.
Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Well, Collin, we'll catch up with you later, man. I can't wait to work with you some more down the line, man. It's been a pleasure.
Let's do it. And guys, I can jump off in like 1 or 2 minutes, but that was fun. Hopefully I gave your listeners some tools.
Dude, that was awesome, man.
For sure.
That was
huge,
incredible.
man.
I know
awesome.
I learned a lot.
Me too, man. That was really cool. I'm looking forward to chatting with you more, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially golf. And the thing about golf, though, is you could look and tell your students, like a lot of these major guys, they have like a mental coach on their team, of their team of people that they're working with.
Yeah.
But
we
I
hear
also
more about the physical coaches. We don't hear they don't talk to us much about the mental coaches on Golf Channel and stuff, but we hear about Bryson's workouts, but he's mentally tough too.
Well, some of them, they don't disclose it.
Sure.
But I would say this, in golf, there has been mental coaches for decades. Caddies are mental coaches.
That's true.
But not every amateur gets to have a caddy to bounce things off of, to help them see things differently. So they're their own. It's just maybe not formally trained how I'm formally trained, but it's still the same stuff. So just don't make it complicated. I think that's where there's a stigma around counseling and therapy, and they make it too complicated. But if you can just use normal language,
right,
and just just normalize it.
So my question is, what's your going rate if I wanted you to caddy for me in the tournament season this year?
I don't know enough about the game of golf, bro. I'm an athlete.
I just need you on the bag telling me all this.
Doesn't sound like you need to know much about golf, brother.
Yeah, I just need you on the bag talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm an athlete who occasionally swings the clubs. I don't, but it's a great sport. It's a great sport because you fail a lot, and it's you versus you, and that's what life is. Life is it's me versus me.
Before you go, you said something about that growth mindset, which was really cool. And Henry's been pounding this into me for years, and I was always giving him shit about it. He's like, you got to treat every round like it's practice for the next time. Like you're just trying to learn some things that you can take to next time. And it's such a different way of thinking about the round than I need to shoot 68 to win this event. No, if you're in that growth present mindset, you will more than likely get the outcome.
That's so true. And this is from Simon Sinek. He calls it the infinite versus the finite game. So a lot of people are playing this finite, short-term, now, where the best performers this is infinite. I'm going to never stop, never stopping. Let's go. I'm going to keep playing and keep showing. So it's when I'm coaching, especially young people, it's why would you put all your worth and eggs in this one game? This is one of a lot of games you're going to play. So this is everything's a practice.
Right.
You look at yoga. How's your yoga practice? There's not this.
Right. They always call it practice.
A finite. No, it's a practice. This is what I do. It's what I love. It's my calling. I do this all the time because I love it. So why would I judge it if I had a bad outing? What did I learn? Or why would life be rosy if it was a good outing? It doesn't care. I'm going to do this all the time forever.
Right.
So it is just one practice.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, but you guys are on it. But yeah, I got to run. I got another thing at 7:30. But it was fun talking to you guys. I love chatting about this.
Cool, man. We appreciate you being on. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us some of your time, man. Really do.
So let me know how else I can help you guys out.
Sweet, bro. Thanks.
I'll be in touch.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.
Peace, buddy.